Because I want you to hear what he has to say before I say it anymore. Please give it up for the man with stones, Tim Stone.
Tony!
Oh, man. Man. Feels good to be here, man. There's a lot of prestige that's been on this stage. I feel honored to be here, Mama Swan. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. It's awesome to see everybody here. It's awesome to be in the presence of all these great comedians. I'm hosting a comedy show up in Swansea. I'm not plugging that yet. I'll do it later. But the other night after the show, because my man Alex is in that show, we were talking about my fucking house. So I just felt like Alex was judging me the whole time now. The other Alex that went first said, yo, Stoney's house is fucking dirty. And it's not. And now there's like no way I can take the fuck out of that. And he just wrote a whole bit on my potential dirty ass house. So thank you, Alex. And I ain't cleaning nobody's cups. I want to see someone drink out there. All right, I'm gonna tell a little story about it. Today, just happened to me today. I'm checking out, do we have any parents in the building?
Woo!
Cool. I have a 3 and a 5-year-old. We might get more of that later. But checking out the grocery store Price Chopper, and I'm in that little aisle, and I got my stuff on the thing, and this couple pulls in behind me. Sweatpants, really tight shirt, leather jacket, probably 6'4" the dude was, all of 350 pounds, just covered. Head to toe in tattoos, like not the good ones. Not even good for a prison tattoo. Like running on his face and everything like that. And you're in that little tight confined area with all the candy and stuff. And my son's sitting right up in the front, swinging his legs, and he goes, "Dada, look, monster." What the fuck are you gonna do? You know, and he's looking right at me, so I'm just like, what, you gonna hit a 3-year-old? Oh, man. So that just happened. Not even a joke I wrote. It's just, thank you, Troy. I love you, man. Oh, fuck. So I've always wanted to be a comedian. Like, it's just kind of been my calling in life. I feel like comedy comes from dark areas in life. It's a way of survival. It's a technique to get by. It's a way to get out. Stuff like that. And my mother was an English teacher, and my father was a drill sergeant. So essentially that makes me a well-spoken jerk, essentially, but my trade. And when I say like my father's a drill sergeant, people are like, yeah, my dad too, like he was strict. I'm like, no, strict's got nothing to do with it. My dad wore combat boots, camouflage, and if your country was being attacked, you would call him to train people to kill him. That's what he did for a living, right? He did that for a living. And there's, besides the obvious, that the downsides to this is he was like a conditioned man. Like, and what I mean by conditioned is he was taught and brought up to be better than any man that came through. This man went to boot camp 500 times. If you really think about it, he woke up before them. He went to bed after them. He ran every mile next to them, did every push-up with them, while calling them names and picking on their mothers. That's what he did for a living. One of the upsides to this was sometimes I got to go to work with Dad. I got to go down and run around and play in tanks and just do, it was unbelievable. Probably one of the most awesome experiences you can have as a kid with a drill sergeant for a father. Ran around a place called Fort Leonard Wood. We didn't live next to the base, because I don't know if you guys are familiar with Army bases, but unless you really like tattoos or Chinese food, there's really no reason to live next to them. So Mom decided to live outside of town. So after a full day of down there with this conditioned man, being an alpha, just out overpressing everybody, punching people in the face, swearing, we got back into our car and we drove back down that road. This conditioned man just back into traffic with all these regular people. We drove the 1984 Nissan Stanza. It was cream puff yellow. It was a 2-door coupe and it was a sedan. So the crank windows, leather seats, AM radio, and the family affectionately called this car Buttercup. Dad's a 6'4" drill sergeant, probably almost 250, and he did not fit in this car, but he had to, because it was just what we did. So we're driving down the road, and he is just stuffed in this thing with all the camouflage on and everything. And for some reason or another, we cut somebody off, and they took offense to us, and they took offense to Buttercup, and they started signaling us and honking to us and driving. My dad was doing his best, but you could see the veins just pulsing and creeping up the back of his It gets off the highway, we're getting closer to our home, and they're still behind us, honking in this BMW. Just, pull over, pull over. And he starts to chew on his tongue. And when he started to chew on his tongue so you could hear it like a baby chewing on a pacifier, you knew shit was going down. So finally, we're pretty close to home. He decides to pull over. And we're right off the side of Highway 44 in St. Louis. And he looks over at me, and he grabs his bandana that he'd been blowing his fucking nose in all day and ties it around his bald head. Says, son, wait here. Now, one of the things about great old Buttercup is that not only was he too big for the car, but the driver's side door was broken, and not a normal human being probably couldn't have gotten out of it. But my dad would get this rock going in the whole car, and by about the third rock, he'd hit that door, and the door would open with a and out popped a 6'4" drill sergeant in full camouflage, and all three of these kids just popped right back in their BMW. And Dad was not having it. I'm here now. Nope, we're not here. I don't bluff. Get out the car. You wanted to talk to me. Let's have a discussion. Get out the car. Knocking on the window. Hello, you told me to pull over. We wanted to have a discussion. You have until the count of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom! And he kicks off the driver's side mirror. This mirror probably went 35 yards over Buttercup, lands in the side of the road. Now these kids are really white. He begins the countdown again. 10, 9, 8. These kids now are trying to ration with just pure craziness. It's over. No, it's my dad's car. Don't do that. Well, call your daddy. 3, 2, 1. And he busts open the whole grill, gets his boot kind of stuck in the grill, pulls it out, gets back. Now they kind of decide to get out the car. So my dad loved, besides doing this, he really enjoyed giving people nicknames. He hated calling them by name. So then he called the driver Captain Limp Wrist because he wasn't strong enough to support his own weight. And how we knew this is because he lined them all up on the side of the road and was making them do push-ups. The reason for this being, if you're not strong enough to cash the check that your ass just wrote, I'm going to help you next time you run into somebody like me. Down, up, down, up. And while they were doing push-ups, he introduced, this is my 7-year-old son. Son, meet Captain Limp Wrist. Captain Limp Wrist can't support his own body weight, but thinks it's smart to start fights in traffic. Captain Limp Wrist to his left, we have Mr. Dumas. Mr. Dumas is a specialist, and he has nice long hair. Look at Mr. Dumas do push-ups. Next to Mr. Dumas is Mrs. Dumas. I think he's a girl, but it's the closest thing that Mr. Dumas is ever going to have by a dick judging from what he's seen in the house. At this point, they had a couple friends stop, pull over on the side of the road, and these guys get out, 2 more individuals. They were in a Monte Carlo, zigzag antenna, ain't skied on the license plate. You remember those ain't skied stickers? Yeah. Anyway, so these 2 get out and say, what's going on? And these 3 now start to get a little bit more squirrely. The other 2 kind of approach back on my dad, and my dad reaches into his back underneath his camouflage lapel and pulls out his service .45 caliber Glock pistol. I am starting to feel a little intimidated. We are going to end this session. Please go back to your vehicles. You have until the count of 10. One of these assholes that just showed up said, he isn't going to do anything with that pistol. Before he could get it out, one of the other Mr. Dumas said, no. My dad goes, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom! And blows a hole the size of a normal person's head through the friggin' hood of this BMW. I don't know how this BMW started. And for those of you that say white men can't jump, I saw 6 of them not touch the ground and get back into their car. Start this car up with the bullet hole and take off. Dad gets back into the car. Not a word is said. We drive off, get down the street. We hear a little bit, we see some lights and some commotion going on. And I shit you not, I'm a great storyteller. But these motherfuckers swerved off the road and crashed their car in a panic. And of all places they could have crashed, it was the rain gutter in my front yard. So these people are spread out on my front yard. My mom's out there giving first aid, and Captain Limpris honestly broke his wrist in half. And they're just starting to kind of calm down and get panic, and what do you think they hear is... Out comes the man. Captain Limpris! So, needless to say, my parents are divorced. So. Dad lived his lifestyle the way he wanted to live it. That's just how he did it, you know. So when my parents got divorced, we'll do a little shit talking about my mom too. My mom was a great, great lady. She did her best to raise me, everything. She obviously trying to keep me out of this lifestyle from my dad and keep me up and positive. I was raised a Roman Catholic, so I was always dropped off, brought off Sunday school, the whole nine. I was an altar boy for 4 years. Never even got a second look, never got raised. You know what that does for your confidence?